standard is different, right? But the standard has lessened.
Since 2022, Aaron Rodgers' QBR is 29th. The only quarterbacks that are worse than Aaron Rodgers, guys, in the last 3 years are Ryan Tannehill, Bryce Young, Mac Jones, and Will Levis. He hasn't played well in 3 years. And in the history of our sport, 2 quarterbacks at 42 have played a playoff game.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers in tonight's video. Now, as you guys may know, I'm a diehard Green Bay Packers fan, so Aaron Rodgers, that's QB number 1. No matter what team he is playing for, I will always support that man. I got a Jets jersey. I got a Steelers jersey already. I love my man, Aaron Rodgers. Now, the media world hates this dude. I honestly feel like they kind of always did. I don't even mean to make this, I don't even really want to say the word political, but I do think Aaron Rodgers has a very bad stain in a lot of people's mouths, and I get it, he's about to be 42 years old, but the amount of talent this guy has, even though the Jets were not a good football team last season, going 5-12, like, Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers, like, that's insane. I can't believe it. And this is a team, not to bring it up, but no postseason win since 2016. Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season. So I was reading an Athletic article, and they were like betting or projecting betting odds, win-loss totals for every team in the NFL, and they had the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are at 8.5 as under, and once again, that's going right against Mike Tomlin. That's also going against my QB1 and Aaron Rodgers. And here's just a quick excerpt that they had to say. The Steelers are all in, apparently, after their moves to get Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Jalen Ramsey, and Darius Slay. Only Metcalf is anywhere near his prime, though, and the all-in seems more like a final desperate move than stemming from confidence in one holding. I think that kind of comment's funny, as if, like, Jalen Ramsey is 30 years old, by the way, is a bad cornerback. DK Metcalf, who is not even close to 30, is a bad wide receiver. The biggest critique is always Aaron Rodgers. And people will say, well, since 1970, only 40 quarterbacks, or over 40-year-old quarterbacks, only have 12 combined playoff wins. Tom Brady has 10 of those, including the 2 Super Bowls, and the other 2 with playoff wins were Drew Brees and Brett Favre. It reminds me, to be quite honest with you, this current Steelers bringing in Aaron Rodgers more close or more similar to when Brett Favre, former QB1 for my Green Bay Packers, went to the Minnesota Vikings. And so last year, Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets went 5-12, but Aaron Rodgers still threw for 3,900 yards, 28 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. But they're pointing to like his passer rating at 90.5, saying that was a career worst. His 6.9 air yards per attempt was the second lowest mark of his career. If you want my straightforward comment on why is Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh different than Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets, I would just say simply scheme. You just lean on quick passing to protect Aaron from the rush and get the ball in the hands of playmakers like DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, all these running backs, etc., etc. So I was reading, once again, actually, before we get into it, hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. I do apologize, we haven't made a Steelers video in quite some time. It's the off season, and things just move slowly, and I could sit here and talk Pittsburgh Steelers football all the time, but at some points in the middle of the offseason, it does get a little bit redundant, but we do have preseason football beginning very shortly in just a handful of weeks, so we're back, baby. I was reading a PFF article that had the Pittsburgh Steelers roster at 21, and I look at the roster, and I don't really get it. We're not even going to really talk about the defense other than what I'm about to say. They had, even last season, one of the best defensive lines in the National Football League. They earned an 87.2 overall grade from PFF, which was 5 points better than any other defense. You got Cam Hayward, you got TJ Watt, you got Alex Highsmith. Now you bring in a dude like Derek Harmon, who just led college football, all interior defenders with 55 total pressures. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't even think many people are talking about Juan Thornhill. I don't think people are even talking about like Y.A. Black, Jack Sawyer. Darius Slay, I get it, maybe is a little bit older, but we're all obviously anticipating another big season from Joey Porter Jr. It's not like Jalen Ramsey is a bad cornerback. I think he just simply was a member of the Miami Dolphins. So our attention shifts offensively. And I loved the DK Metcalf move. I do, as many issues maybe people had with George Pickens, obviously, like, the wide receiver room isn't the worst in the world because DK Metcalf is a true wide receiver one. That has nothing to do that George Pickens isn't. But I do like that fit with Aaron Rodgers. You got Robert Woods, who's underrated, undervalued, pretty much honestly in his entire NFL career. I really loved what I saw from Calvin Austin III last year. You still got Scotty Miller, Roman Wilson. We're expecting big things from Roman Wilson, right? I don't think people remember Roman Wilson other than maybe some Steelers fans. You got Jonnu Smith also coming over from Miami. You got Pat Freiermuth as well. And you got some nice rookies like Caleb Johnson on that offense. He's going to take over day one. And so at the beginning of this video, I kind of compared this Rodgers to Pittsburgh move similar to Brett Favre going to the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm not going to compare Caleb Johnson to a prime Adrian Peterson, but I will just say I think Caleb Johnson brings something to this Steelers offense that was needed, and it's a little bit of pop and it's a little bit of sizzle. He had a breakout year in 2024. He finished 5th in all of college football with 1,060 yards after contact. Maybe a little bit of issues in pass protection last season for the Pittsburgh Steelers with their young offensive line, but they were also a top 10 rushing offensive line. Caleb Johnson doesn't fumble. He's a hard runner. He's just a very good football player. He finished 29 straight games, almost 500 touches without a fumble in his, last few seasons at Iowa. And I think where people get this wrong is the offensive line. Because of its youth, it's a very young offensive line. And they're going to have to protect Aaron Rodgers. And so 3 of these guys are entering their second year in the National Football League. You've got like Broderick Jones entering his 3rd year, about to enter his 3rd year in the NFL. But I look at these guys like Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick, and Troy Fautanu, and I don't know, I think when people make like projections or rankings, I don't think, maybe this is like not even what I should be saying out loud, but I don't think people factor in what we saw last season. Like right here, you could look at statistics, right? Zach Frazier statistically, even as a rookie, was already really good. But in my opinion, because of what we knew about him coming into the draft, what we saw from him last season, not only did he have a good rookie season, he looks like he's on his way to becoming one of the better centers in the National Football League. And even last year as a rookie, he ranked 5th amongst all centers with a 78 overall PFF grade. So we look at like Troy Fautanu, we look at Mason McCormick, and I'm also anticipating significant improvement from both of those 2 guys, and also more of Zach Frazier. So the left side of the football is a little bit older, the right side's a little bit younger, but I remember your draft last season, man. I'm high on all those young offensive linemen like we had mentioned. So, maybe Pittsburgh could use a weapon on a wide receiver, but like I said, I also think Calvin Austin III is intriguing, and we just didn't really see Roman Wilson last year, so I'm also anticipating him to have an impact on the Steelers team. So, like, less than 9 wins, less than 8 wins for this team, I don't get it. I do think, like, they're going to be over 500. I do think Aaron Rodgers, if he stays healthy, will take this team to the playoffs, and we'll go from there. I'm not worried about rebuilds. I'm not worried about anything like that because the year hasn't even started. So, folks, that's all we got for tonight's ramble. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button. Hit that sub button. Give me a loose win-loss projection record for the Steelers down below. And we'll see you soon, man. Peace.